Hello, everyone, and welcome to So Many Games to the Time, a board game podcast where Evangelos and myself talk about board games every week
Yes.
with a variety of topics. And today we're going to talk about a single game, actually, which is the first podcast that we've done where we just talk about one game and nothing else. Well, maybe some other stuff, who knows what comes up. But the game we're going to talk about is Nova Roma. Not my game.
Yes.
It's Evangelos' copy. But we'll get into that in a bit. But okay, let me first tell you what it's all about. So, according to BGG, in Nova Roma, you are the head of an ancient and noble Roman house, helping Emperor Constantine establish his new capital. Deploy your family members and retainers to accomplish a variety of goals. Procure building materials, construct palaces, secure sea routes, race in the hippodrome, and attract population to the new capital. At the end of the game, the family that has done the most to please Emperor Constantine will be the recipient of untold riches and eternal fame. This is a city building, hippodrome racing, estate management, competitive Eurogame, featuring a unique pattern building grid activation game mechanism. Earn victory points for a wide variety of tasks. The player with the most victory points at the end of the game is the winner. Description from the designer. Okay, so it's designed by Stan Kordonsky, which I think at this point we can say is a favorite of both of us.
Yes. What is your favorite game of his, actually?
Well, off the top of my head, it's the ones that I have from him are Shadow Kingdoms of Valyria. It's is it? No, it's not Resistance. What's it called again?
Oh,
Resurgence. Resurgence.
Resurgence. I'm looking at it now. Resurgence.
Endless Winter.
Endless Winter and Rurik.
And Rurik. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
No, my favorite is Rurik.
Yeah, I would say the same. I think I haven't played Endless Winter enough times because I think that could be. But I think Rurik is. I think mainly Rurik because of how clever that central mechanism is of the
Yeah,
The
that
bidding-
never
the
gets
bidding-
old.
yeah, the bidding system is just so good.
Because I think with games like Endless Winter, you know how it goes. You know
Yes.
what to expect every time you play. But then with the mechanism of Rurik, where you have to like bid and then the different things, yeah, it's completely different. Yeah.
Yeah.
We should make a different episode about Rurik for the future,
Yes.
and
This
talk
is a
about
good
that.
excuse. Good excuse to play it again.
Yeah, because now I feel the need to explain how the mechanism works, but then we're gonna go down a completely different path. So I'll put it on the list to talk about next time or whatever. So yeah, both of us Rurik basically, Dawn of Kiev.
Yes.
Okay. Are there? Because I'm looking at the list now. So he has Dice Hospital. There's notable games, and not all of them. Is Dice Hospital, Rurik, Old West Impresario, never heard of it before. Lock Up, A Role-Player Tale, Shadow Kingdoms of Valyria, Resurgence, Endless Winter, Guild Academies of Valyria, and Nova Roma. I'm a bit sad because I have Shadow Kingdoms with the latest Kickstarter, and there was also Guild Academies, but I didn't back that one. I don't know why I only backed half of that Kickstarter, but it is what it is. So, yeah. Okay, Nova Roma. So,
Yes. Well, again, I backed before we start. The reason why I backed it, I just backed it because of the pedigree of the designer and the art. It's D'Amico's art. So I kind of just trusted the game would be good, and you didn't though.
no, and it looks like I'm getting emotional and crying, but it's just because my eyes are really irritated. It's just Hong Kong air sometimes. And also sitting close to the computer screen, maybe. But yeah, I had Rome fatigue, basically, because around that time it was Age of Rome, and then the other Rome game with the big buildings. What's it called again? Something with... It has something to do with roads as well. Roads of Fortune is the expansion, I think. Do you remember what that Rome game is called? Let me see if I can just find Roads of Fortune. It's kind of bad to do this in a podcast. Really well prepared, Joachim. Well done.
Yes.
Foundations of Rome. That's
Foundations
it.
of Rome.
Yes. So.
But you also backed, right? You backed that one as well.
Yeah. Because everybody is so crazy about it. So I rode the FOMO because in the beginning I didn't back it because I thought it was stupid with all the big buildings. Turns out it's really good. So yeah.
Did you see
So
they've
yeah.
just announced a stripped down version of that game
Oh no, I didn't. I
with
didn't.
tiles, no miniatures, and it's set in modern day.
But it's like it's the cycle we're going through, right? In the beginning, there were no
Yes,
miniatures, and everyone's like, "We need minis," and now people are like, "I don't want minis." So I just keep going
yeah,
circle, 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 circle. But yeah.
yes,
So
okay,
yeah, I didn't back it, and when you said it arrived, I was like, I don't really care to be honest. And then we played it, and it's happened before that we
yes,
play a game where I think like, okay, whatever, I'll give it a shot. Newton, and I
Newton.
was like, oh, it's so good. And then yeah, you even lent it to me so I could play solo and make
Play solo.
videos. Yeah,
So did you find it? Will the game be available on retail?
I have no idea. I've checked multiple times, and now that people are starting to get it on Facebook, there's also been reactions uh,
Okay.
to it, and people are like, "Oh, I should have backed this," and then people are like, "Oh, I can't get it," and people are talking really negative about the publisher, like that they're horrible to get the games out or into retail or whatever. So I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know where it came from because I have no background knowledge. But people are like, really like, oh, they're horrible, so probably not get it.
I
And la,
think it's
la, la.
because it's his own company, so maybe he works at a very small scale, obviously to protect
Yeah,
himself. So I think the best bet would maybe be on his own web store after he supplies everything to backers. Maybe then he'll try to sell whatever's left over from the production.
yeah, yeah. It's yeah, because like I said, you lent it to me so I can make
Uh,
videos, and of course my laptop died, so I do have the footage, but it's very difficult to actually,
well, you can always
turn
borrow
it
the game.
into. Yeah,
You
yeah.
can
It's I
always borrow.
mean, good to know. So I wrote down a bunch of stuff.
Yes.
So also the art is by Mihailo Dimitrievsky, which is also someone who is pretty popular these days.
Yeah.
The gameplay is 1 to 4, but it's apparently best at 3. I don't know. We played at 3, right?
Yes, we had three of us.
Yeah. So I guess 60 to 120 minutes, but it's our first play, so I don't think we can really say that the time would be correct or not, because first plays never really count.
And it was the teacher as well, because yeah.
Yeah. The weight is 3.40 out of 5.
Hmm.
I guess that kind of. It seems a bit high to me, to be honest.
Yeah, but for us maybe. I think it's pretty much the standard weight we want to play,
Because, I
I
mean, the
guess.
teach is not that difficult to understand.
No, but I
Yeah,
think I think we'll talk about it later on. There's a lot of moving parts.
yeah, 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 for sure.
I think that's the part. That's why it makes it more difficult because you've got there's a lot of moving parts, a lot of
Yeah.
going
And
into
you
it.
already heard it in the description that I read before. It combines a bunch of mechanics. You've got area majority, you've got contracts, end game bonuses, pattern building, worker placement.
Yeah.
So yeah, for sure, there's a lot to discuss about. So let's start with the way people always judge anything most of the time at first
Yes.
glance. What do you think of the looks?
I'm looking at the board now. It's a bit muted. It's not the brightest board in the world, but but I think it's functional because it's not the prettiest, but it does have a unique stance. It's got the. What do you think? I think it is very brown, but it does work
Yeah, it's pretty
because it's very
brown, but
busy. 'Cause it's very busy, but it's easily compartmentalized.
yeah, and like I'm also looking at the board a bit, but I think once the pictures you can see on BGG is actually the empty board. When the pieces are on it, it actually looks a bit better as well. And I think it's like you said, it's I think it's okay. It's not
Yeah.
too boring or bland. It's not too crazy for me. I like how your player board is a lot different because it's a lot greener
Yes.
and everything because it's supposed to be your farmland and everything else. And aside from that, it's kind of simple. But then
Yes.
the art of the people also reminds me a bit of the Miko, but I guess they all have kind of like similar styles. But yeah, I think it's okay. You know,
I think it's okay.
I like how they did
Yeah.
the gold tiles in slightly different shades as you go from 1 to 3. But yeah.
Yeah, I think if it had been brighter or more loud in some ways, it would be difficult to see what's going on.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
because ultimately it's there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like 6 or 7 different zones in this game
Yeah.
that
You
we focus
could
on.
argue that the 3 actions on the right, on the main board, so basically the action that has to do with your farm, the trading action, and the action that has to do with building buildings, that
Yes.
those look very similar at a glance. They could have made those look a little bit different, so it's easier to realize, okay, that has more to do with this, that has more to do with that,
Yes.
because that's a
And
bit too.
and the hippodrome is a little boring as well.
Yes, that is definitely boring.
This is a
But yeah,
track.
if
It's
you
just 2-3 tracks. It's just
yes,
tracks.
yes, yeah, that's true. Yeah, because actually I wrote down in like negatives. I wrote down the way
Okay.
the races, the look of it as well, and also the buildings, because you're building buildings, but in the end they're just cubes that you put
Yeah.
down. And while it is easier, easier to sell to people, easier to use, it's also very like I don't feel like I'm building anything. I'm just putting down some cubes.
Well, you're playing Tetris. You're playing Tetris.
Yeah, okay, it doesn't have to be a miniature, but I would have appreciated a polyomino tile or whatever, that would have been cooler than just because the effect is the same, right? But then you have to have the tiles in all the colors, which I agree is a lot more difficult and more expensive.
You'd have to have multiple. You'd have multiple tiles. This is. I would say it is practical. The cubes make it practical.
Yeah, but it doesn't look as nice, is my point. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about, instead of like doing different things, like what do you think of this, and this, how about what did you like? Let's do some pros.
Okay, we got to talk about. Okay, just get the main part of the game. The excellent part, the forum, the action selection of the forum. That is excellent.
Mm-hmm.
That is ultimately this game's version of the Rurik bidding mechanism.
Yeah, to
it
put a little bit into
clean. Yeah, put into context first. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, you have a row, 4 rows and 4 columns, and then you, at the start of your turn, you flip over an emperor tile, and it says the emperor will be in one of 2 spots. The first player gets to choose where to put the emperor, and then you place your first guy. I always forget their names. The first guy, whatever. You've got 3 of them to place, and if you place him, he will get 1 power to do, and he's by himself, so he's 1 power.
Yes.
And then you can do the action from the row and the column in any way you want, in any order.
Patrician.
But if your patrician is next to the emperor, either
the same
row above, yes,
same row.
yeah,
doesn't have
then you don't
next door.
Exactly. Then you don't have 1 power, but you have 2 power. So you want to put it next to it. If it's next to one of your colors, one of your guys, it's also 2 power. So if you have your 2 guys next to each other alongside the emperor, you have suddenly 3 power, which of course is a lot more powerful for all the actions that you want to do. But of course, other people are going to want to block you too, so that really adds to the decision space. Anyway, yes, back to you. That's how it works.
Well, no, it's just that emperor makes that mechanism perfect, because not only does the emperor block a space, so every round one intersection is blocked, right? So technically 1 space is blocked. Okay, so 2 actions are out the game, out the round. Well, you don't even notice that, but also it forces you to. It just gives you that hard decision making process, because you want to be greedy, you want to be in that row. So maybe you do a slightly suboptimal choice because you just want to be greedy and get double up, and it also makes you try to block someone else from getting that position. It's just a simple mechanism that makes the decision making more difficult, more crunchy. And it's such a simple, elegant mechanic. And the first player gets to choose where to put it. It's just, as I said, I just find it so elegant, but it's everything you want from a action selection mechanism.
Yeah, and
You don't
also
want to.
have
You don't want to
the
be too complimentary. Yeah, sorry.
yeah, you also have the following decision making that you sometimes have where you're like, I want to put my guy, but if I put my guy
Yes.
here, I get to do what I want and it's all cool and everything. But then the
Yes.
next person can put his person there and suddenly have three
Exactly.
power and everything. But I don't really want to do the actions that would give him all that power. So do I sacrifice? Especially when you're a last player, they're always looking at you like you should block him like, or her.
Exactly.
And so yeah, but why didn't you?
Yeah.
So
So you get that you try to block the other person, but also at the same time you think to yourself, I have to go there because I get double, even though I don't really need that action, but it's double, so I should go there. So it just makes your decision making more crunchy, which is what we want.
exactly, yeah,
It's
100%.
just and then the fact that every game it will be random, which actions will intersect with which actions, so the game will be different every game, which
Yeah.
it actually links in with neatly with Barcelona. If we ever talk about that game, same kind of idea.
Yeah.
But I think here it'll be even more interesting. That it's
Yeah.
random.
And then I think also the fact that you say he always blocks an action spot, right? But then I really like the fact that they added a spot on the board. I forgot the name because it's been too long. Where you can actually, where you use your action
A wild
to
like a
do an
wild
action.
spot, yeah.
Yeah, to do an action.
But you pay a cost. But you pay
Yes.
something. That's quite common in most of these games. For example, like Grand Austria Hotel has it. Tilitum has it too. It's like a place that's wild, but it costs you're gonna pay extra to do it. So
Yeah.
yes. So
Okay.
you never really blocked, but it just comes at an extra cost.
Exactly. I mean, even then, that spot can only be done a maximum of 4 times because it's only
Yes.
a grid of 4x4. So, and if other people go there, then it's also another popular spot, and something that I think is really important as well. Those spots, the rows and the columns, those icons, they're randomized every game. So every game is placed differently. You can't be like, oh, next time I'm going to make sure I get that combination. No, because it's going to be randomized again, unless you.
That's what we can just like with Barcelona, right? That's the same thing, right? What is interesting, the board is always randomized. That like with Barcelona, sometimes games will have a beginner's layout that you put the tiles on top of if you want to randomize it. But this game has no beginner layout.
No, I just throw you in the deep end immediately.
Yeah,
Figure it out.
Yeah, which is probably what makes the game so interesting.
Yeah, for sure. Another thing that I thought was interesting was the farming engine building.
Yes.
Because you have a farm, and when you activate that spot, basically you're going to be, if I'm not mistaken, you can take a tile and place it in there. But then there's also another action where you can actually take one of your farmers or your workers that you start with one, but then you can get new ones. But then you can also spend them to do other actions. But then you place them into your farm, and it's the same thing as the main grid on the board. You activate the row and the column and the tile that you are standing on. But then if there's another tile next to it with another guy on top of it, if I'm not mistaken, you activate both of them again.
As well, yeah.
So it's another engine inside the engine.
It's an engine. That's actually from a game called Cuba. One of my favorite games had a similar mechanic with a farm like that. I think they basically copied that from Cuba. Which is I love the engine too. Yeah, because you also got to make a choice now. Do I cover the spot or not? Because you benefit from it. So you also work out your angles. So it's like kind of a grid within a grid, like you said, like an engine within an engine.
Because some of the tiles can be resources, but other tiles are one-off actions, or it's a set collecting animal thing that you can have. So you need and actually those points from those animals can also be very valuable because the points of games tend to be quite low. Actually, it's not like 100 points or whatever, if I'm not mistaken.
Did you worked on the animals, right?
Yeah, and especially in the solo as well, a little bit more. Okay. And there was one point where I won a solo game because of the animals. But of course, that's the thing, right? Within with a solo, with an automa or whatever. It's not an automa, but with the solo mechanic, they're not gonna go for something that you're going for or whatever. Especially not here.
Okay.
It's just block spaces.
I am
But
surprised how simple the animals were, how simple the mechanic was, though. It was a set
Yeah.
collection of just animals. I'm surprised it didn't have variation of animals.
well, I'm trying to remember how much points you could get, but I know it ramped up
I'm looking
really
at you.
quickly.
If you get 3 of them, you get 9 points. I'm looking at the board. I'm looking at the player board now.
Where you can very easily get 3 of them because there's one tile who has 2
So-
and then a bunch of ones.
That's what I'm saying. I'm surprised that there wasn't a set collection of 3 different types of animals.
Yeah, okay, like that, yeah.
It was just straightforward animal. They didn't matter. They're all the same. Animals are animals. So I'm surprised
Yeah.
it wasn't a more difficult set collecting.
Oh, that's for the expansion.
Probably. Or maybe maybe there was too much going on, so they kept it simple.
Yeah, it could be. The I was actually just checking now the average scores that we've had for the games. I think the lowest score was 79, the AI. And the top score was me 106, but it's also with the AI. With the winning score that you had in our game was 94.
94, okay.
Yeah, in a
I
3-player
won,
game.
I won back 1 or 2 points, right? It was very close.
Yeah, Esteban had 92. And we're not going to talk about how much I had. So, I mean, I don't know.
100 something.
I'm looking at something.
Yeah.
So, yeah, when I played solo, I had 84.
That's the
Okay,
same.
not too bad.
84.
Not too bad.
That's good.
But I mean, 9 points do make a difference then.
Yes.
If nobody else is going for it. So if you let people just get it, then yeah.
I really like. Now, next thing I really like is the mosaic.
Yes.
The personal
Yes.
play, the personal goals. I really, really like that.
Yeah. I wrote that down too.
I'm looking at
also,
now.
yeah. No, go ahead.
Why did you? Why I'm saying I usually like games when they give you especially the first time, give you personal goals. So just so you have some sort of direction to go in. Especially in a game like this, you need some sort of direction because there's just so many things to do. So that mosaic with what is it, 3, 6, 9 different goals, just gives you something to work towards. So
Yeah.
and then you can find your combos. You can find the synergy between your 9 different goals. Because also we drafted, right? We drafted.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
So
yeah. And
Yeah, go
you only have a limited amount of discs to do
That's right.
the
You
goals.
can't all of them.
Yes, which is also annoying because then annoying. I mean, it's a good kind of annoying because when you complete, basically it's like 3 rows, like a mosaic, right? Like you said. So if you complete a row, you get a bonus, either points or something else. If you do the level 1s, you get like a bonus. But if you do the lower ones, you get a lot more points because a row or a column with level 5 is like 5 points or something, can be huge. But if you spend all your goals on level 1s and 2s, then you're actually
can't do the big
foregoing
ones.
15 points or something. So
But the top ones give you resources when you complete it, right? So you get a resource when you do the top one. So something that helps you complete your objectives during the course of the game. Yeah, it's very clever.
Because I wrote there as well that it's, especially the first game, you don't really realize that. And then a negative that I feel is attached to it is that's the reason why we have the hippodrome.
I think it's no. I thought the other way around. I think they attached to the hippodrome to make people use the hippodrome.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, that's basically what I mean as well.
Yeah, I think
It
what
makes
happened was in testing,
Yeah.
they found that no one was going to the hippodrome. So they said, okay, we've got to force them to do it sometimes. So they made the goal objectives there. I think it was pushing us to go to the hippodrome.
Because doing the hippodrome action, it's not exciting. It's just, okay, I do
It's
this.
boring.
I move my wheel a little bit to the right. And then I try to win the race that will give me 3 points or something, if I'm not mistaken. I forgot
something
exactly
like that.
how
It was
much.
I think it was a lot of points because that's what Esteban focused on, right? There was a lot of points in the end for him.
Yeah. So, and then of course you also have to do it, because if you don't do it, then you won't be able to complete your goals later on either. And
That's right.
yeah, so you need to do at least the first, because basically what happens in the hippodrome is you have the first 3 spots, I think. If you go to the fourth one, you basically
Okay.
cross a line that can either give you one of those scores or
Yes.
something
It's the
else.
third
I
line.
forgot.
It's the
Yeah.
third line and the fifth line.
Yeah,
But to
and the
get
other
to it, you have to
thing,
spend a horse.
yes, yeah, you have to spend a resource, yeah. And so you either take a scoring thing or what is the shield again? So
For the
resource. Yeah. It's no, it's not gold. The bottom on your
Oh,
farmer track
yes,
has
the
like
shield. Actually,
an
I just think of-
influence or military or whatever it is called.
Yes, the influence.
Yeah. So you only get one, which is basically it's okay, but you always go for the goal, obviously.
But the influence, it's the influence that you pay for the wild action, isn't it? If I remember correctly. Is
Yeah,
that what-
yeah.
There we
Yes.
are, there we are.
Yeah,
So they're
yeah,
very
for the wild
important.
action.
That's very important. The Legion.
And also you can spend wine to get the stuff as well. But yeah, okay, that's not
Yes.
really what we're talking about right now. But yeah, the point is that you want to get to those points to get your goals. And then if you win a race or not, it's 3 points. Okay, if you get farthest on the track, it's another 5 points. So it does add up once again. If you let someone do it, it'll bite you in the butt.
Yes.
But yeah,
But it's not
just
exciting.
No,
not,
it's not exciting.
It's one of the typical things. It's not exciting, and it doesn't feed your engine, your game. So it always feels like a waste going there.
yeah.
So what happens is, well, okay, once you get to the part you get the wheel, okay, that's good. But getting to there, you had like 2 or 3 turns when you get nothing, right?
Like
And it just feels frustrating.
even if it was just a painted on track and you have a little horse and carriage or whatever, even that would already made it a lot more interesting to go, because you physically see I'm winning a race. It's not like my wheel is 1 spot ahead of you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
It
the
wouldn't
thing
do a
is,
lot, but it would be something.
But yeah, I think because also what happens is if someone goes like Itzaban, when we played Itzaban, he raced ahead. He obviously he focused on the hippodrome, so he raced ahead of all 3 tracks of us, right? So
Yeah.
we always felt like, what's the point of focusing on the hippodrome because we can't catch him.
Yeah, we might as well focus
So-
on something he's not focusing on.
Exactly. So that's what I did. I just took my time because I said, okay, I don't need that wheel for my goals, for my mosaic goals until later. So I thought, okay, I'll put that on a back burner. So I let him have the 3 points. I let him focus on that, and I focus on other things. And then later on, I slowly moved up the track to get the wheels for my mosaic goals because
Yeah.
I had enough to keep myself busy until later in the game.
Yeah, exactly.
So he got 3. He kept getting the 3 points, but that was because I couldn't catch him anyway. So I just left
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. I think the only one that he didn't have was the bottom track, because I remember the
but that's
last
because-
round. Yeah.
That's because the chariot things, it was all the same color for the first. It was the same 2 colors
Yeah,
for the
because
first 2
the
races.
chariot basically tells you each round whoever is farthest along that track gets the chariot and the points on them, which is like
and it
3
tells you
points.
the next race. Yeah.
Yes, and not all of them come out, so some of them stay
Yeah.
in the box. So there is one chariot that just has all 3 of them on it, though. So,
Yeah.
but that didn't really come out.
So as I said, I
oh,
just
no,
let,
that's
I,
no. That's the back of all the chariots. Never mind. That's
Yes,
the back. That's not
okay.
the front.
But
They
as
have
I said,
2
I
of them
just-
sometimes.
I just left it. I didn't bother because there was no point.
Yeah.
So the other thing, I don't know. This game also reminds me a lot of Trajan. You ever played Trajan?
No.
It's same theme, Roman, and also incredibly busy. With Trajan as well, it's a Stefan Feld game. There's like
Hmm.
multiple different things to do. You know, it's like the ultimate point salad. There's different things to focus on, and same thing here. There's so many different places to focus on. So how do you feel? Do you think you have to do a bit of everything, or do you have to prioritize certain sections? What do you feel?
Okay, you have to well, you have to make sure you do the hippodrome.
Yeah.
That's a given. And you have to make sure that you are between positions 1, 2, and 3 on the sailing track, the transportation track, because basically one of the tracks is where you go sailing, you go from one place to the other. I don't remember the
Yeah.
cities, but whatever. And so basically, when you move your ship forward, you get bonuses, but also points, and they go up to 7 points. And then when you reach the end, you have 14, 12, and 10 for
14,
whoever's first, second, or third. Now, if you manage to get both your ships there first, you get 26 points because you have 14 and 12. So that's also something you keep an eye on what other people are doing. But if you are not in any of those three spots, I think it's going to be very difficult to win, because that's a lot of
Yes.
points. Because that means that you might get 14 points while somebody else might have gotten 26. In a game where the average score is between 80 and 100, 10 points is a big swing. So
Lot, yeah.
I would say that's definitely important. I think those two.
Plus,
yeah.
there's also very important bonuses on your travels.
Yes,
Like
as well.
there's the one spot that gives you 2 hippodrome movements.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
huge.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think about the character mechanic? So because you recruit these characters and then you put them above your board, and then some of them have like actions that are for the whole rest of the game. Some of them only happen once and they go away, and other ones are in-game scoring. Did you feel?
It's a very common. It's very similar to the mechanic from Garfield games. He does it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That you buy these characters and they just give you powers.
Yeah.
It feels like the same because it's also with D'Amico's art.
Yeah.
So yes, it's a very important. You need to get at least two characters.
Yeah.
You need at least one power. Some end of game scoring. End of game scoring is what won me the game last time. It's very important.
Yes, for example, you have got the pictures on BGG. You've got the veterinarian who gives you 1 point and a point per animal. That
Yes.
might end up giving you 4 or 5 points that nobody else is going to get. And also the first 4 characters are free. After that, you have to pay. That influence military thing, whatever, again. So it's not only for the wild spot, but also for extra characters there. If you
get a
them.
character that lines up with your goals for your mosaic, that's the way to go.
Yeah, and you start with 2 of them, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, you draft them, I think, don't we? Can't remember.
Yeah, and you can get rid of them as well, isn't it? For while trading, yeah, you
Yes.
can get rid of 2 cards to get money and so on. And then a good example of the power, actually, if you use a recruit action, if you have 1 power with your patrician, like the only guy in the row or whatever column, then you have to pay 2 silver, I guess, to hire someone, which is really expensive. But if you have 2 power, it's just 1. If you have 3 power, it's free. So that really adds to the value of power, and that's for every action, that it's so much better to have higher power. And yeah, that's something that I want to talk about as well for those people, because I had games where I had hardly any, and then I had games where I had a lot of them, because some of them will actually add 1 power to whenever you do that action, or they might give you a resource every time you do that action, and so on.
Yeah, I remember you and Itzaban leaned very heavily onto the characters, right? I remember that.
Yeah, I can never do it alone.
Yeah, I didn't do as much as well. I was focusing on other things.
You won, so
Yeah, no, as I said, you can diversify. That's what I'm saying. The game allows you. You don't have to go characters.
I think
I think you need these 2. So go on now.
No, I agree. You need at least 2. But I think maybe that's also why you start with 2. It's like a hint.
Yeah.
I think another positive is that it's easy to learn, I feel. The game.
It's just a lot going on. It's just a lot. But I don't think the individual parts are not difficult.
Yeah, exactly.
Like for example, the sailing, right? You see the contracts on top. Okay, I need this, I need this much of, I need this, I need 1 wheat to travel 1 space. Boom.
Yeah.
That's all I need. So, and then you build the buildings. You can see the shape. You need to see the resources. You pay it. You build. The individual things is not. I think what would you say is the most complicated? I think maybe the most complicated is the farm.
Yes, the farm is definitely the most complicated.
Yeah.
Because it's the tile placement, and also you need to have the workers, but you have to make sure you don't use too many workers in the hippodrome, because you can use those workers to basically make your wheel go faster.
Yes.
So, yeah, it can be a little bit, like I feel when you do the farm, sometimes you might put something down like, oh no, why did I do that 2 turns ago or whatever. And I think another thing, is the mosaic, just the realizing, like I only have a limited amount of components. I cannot forget that I have a limited amount of components to put on there. I cannot do everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I mean, just the way the game works, I think people quickly get it,
Pick it
and I
up.
think this is really a game. If I finish, I want to play again.
Yes. And it comes full circle. It comes down to that the action selection mechanic. It's just fun.
Yeah.
It's just tight, and I wonder if it's like with 4, probably even tighter and more difficult.
Yeah, I imagine so, because nothing really changes with 3, and I think it only
No.
starts to change with 2.
Yes. So
that
I
they
guess
block
with
spots.
4, there are spot times you got to take what you got left. So that would make turn order incredibly important, I guess.
Yeah, it's so much better to be first player.
Yeah.
Because
How
last
is
player, you're
how
basically
does-
just filling up gaps.
I can't remember, how does first player work?
Well, in the beginning of the game, it's like with the drafting of the goals, right? I think if you're the last one
Yes.
to choose the goals or whatever, you get to start the game, or the other way around.
Yes. And does it
And
just turn? Does it turn order change, or do you have to
there's
do
a spot.
Okay.
So if you go
There's a
to
spot.
the wild
Okay.
space, you can take it. But if you have the first player marker, if you that's the way it works. So if
That's
you're
right.
first player, the first
Forgot about
round,
that.
you cannot take the first player marker, but other
That's
people
it.
can if they go to that spot. But then if you place your second guy, then you can go and get it if you want. Because if you don't, it'll just go to the next
Prevents a
person
loop.
in the next round. Yeah.
Because first person is so important, you just keep taking it first.
Yeah. But it automatically moves, right, from round to round if nobody takes it?
If
Or
no one
does it
takes
stay?
it, yeah.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I think it moves.
Yeah, I think it's. I
But
think so
first
too, yeah.
person is incredibly important. Because
Yeah.
not only do you choose where the emperor goes, you also get the first dip on the juiciest intersection.
But once again, taking it costs 2 influence. The influence that you also use for the
Wild
what was it
action.
again? For the wild action itself, and for the recruiting of people after 4. So yeah, it's all about engines as well. You want to keep getting it's resource management at its core, together with the action selection. That's really Do you have any
Yeah, 'cause you
negatives?
resource everything.
Yeah, it's definitely
No,
everything.
I think it's the kind of game I enjoy. I like the art. I like the action. There's nothing. I enjoy the fact that there's so many different options. It's the kind of game I enjoy to play. So no, I can't think of it personally. Besides the Hippodrome has been boring, as you said already.
Yeah, that was also the only negative that I wrote down. The Hippodrome, and you have to do it. Yeah. Because if you don't do it, you
pick
should.
the iconology, maybe icons, maybe, but it's okay.
Yeah, I think we nitpicked a little bit already about the stuff
Yeah,
that we thought
Like-
was.
I know. I actually like the build. I know you complain there's no tiles. I actually don't mind it. So there's
No, I
nothing
mean-
I don't like about the game.
It just the reason once you know how to play, it doesn't matter. I mean, the different
Yes.
ones have a different color, the action spaces around it. But I'm just saying, when you're learning the game, it would have been easier if it was more distinctly linked or whatever. But
But as I said,
yeah.
it's one of those kind of Euros that there's nothing terribly new here.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
it's just
yeah.
but what's there is just done well, and it feels comfortable when you're playing. You every mechanism makes sense because you kind of know you've seen variations of it before, and just that the way it all comes together is unique, and that's just fun.
Yeah.
No, I really enjoyed it.
I think there's one more thing that I want to mention before I talk about the solo, and that is we talked about the power mechanic and how it changes when you recruit people. But I quickly want to
Yes.
say how that affects the other actions. So, for example, if you have a higher power in the hippodrome, like if you have 1 power, you can move 1 wheel, 2 wheels, 3 wheels. That's pretty straightforward. But when you go sailing, you can choose. If you have 1 power, you can only choose out of from 2 ships. But if you have 2 or 3 power, you can choose
Yeah,
from
that.
3 or 4 ships, which is also huge. You have more options. The exact same thing happens with buildings. You can choose from more
right.
buildings if you have more power. And also, when you build a building, then you can also place it in a higher tier, because you got 3 tiers. Like the first tier is really big, but it's only 531 points. Second tier is smaller, but 642, and the third one is 753. And also, when you're building, if you build around the resources that are there, you get the resource. You have to build around it. If multiple people build around it, you all get the resource.
Which is a
just-
positive interaction.
Yeah, exactly. But you don't want to do it, so
So yeah, we forgot to mention the importance of powers the way you power up your actions. That's very important too.
Yeah, that's why I'm going over the different parts. Why it is important to
Yeah.
make sure you get as high as power as possible. You've
Yeah.
got the recruitment action, where you basically recruit the workers for your farm, and then you that's how it works. So you either pay food to no, you either take people and put it on your farm, or you pay food and place the person on
That's
your
right.
farm to make him work on a tile. So depending on the power, it depends how often you can do it, once, twice, or three times. And then you've got the trade action. Depending on your power, you get X amount of silver. You can do some other stuff there. And then when it's the I don't know, it's a scroll action. You can basically get that influence that we've been talking about, depending on your power, which will then allows you also to get tiles and more special tiles. And I think that's like the biggest thing when it comes down to powers.
Yes.
Also with the wild spot, if you go there, if you have one power, you can pay only one influence to do a power and another power at a one level spot. But if you of course want to get three power, you have to pay three influence. So it also goes together there. So that's like a quick rundown about all that thing, why it's so important. I think we just glossed over it because we know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So want me to talk about the solo?
Yeah. Might as well. How'd you find solo?
Well, first of all, I think the multiplayer is better, and I'll tell you why. The solo, well, I'll tell you why in a bit. First of all, for the solo, I'll say how it works. So when you play solo, first of all, you would put out the Emperor, and then I think, because you have three guys first, then you put out the two Legionnaires. So basically, you flip another Emperor, and every Emperor has two spots, so that's where you put the Legionnaires. Then you place your own guy, then another two Legionnaires, you place your own guy, another two Legionnaires, and you place your own guy. So if a Legionnaire ends up on a spot where there's someone already there, the AI gets 2 points. So that's how they, make it at least a little bit worthwhile. So they block spots actively, right? Which is fine. I like that aspect a lot, because you're always hoping like, oh, I hope they don't go there, I hope they don't go there, whatever.
Especially it's because it's quite streamlined. It's quite simple.
Yeah. It's really
And it kind of makes sense.
I think that's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
However, what I don't like as much about the AI is how it moves the ships, and also how it scores the mosaic. So every round, it doesn't matter what happens in the round, but every round, both their ships of the AI move one spot forward, and they already start on the 3-point spot, if I'm not mistaken.
Sure.
Yeah. So they're already in the lead when the game starts. And then every round they move up one spot. So not the last round, but the round before that, they already arrive at the two top spots.
Sure.
So you need to make sure that you are there before them, or they'll have 26 points. And you can maximum have 17, which is a 9-point difference, if you don't focus on it at all. And then the problem with the mosaic is, if you have the level 3 goals, each of them gives you 5 points. The other one, each of them gives you 3 points. And then the top one, each of them gives you 2 points, right? So the AI will score the locations you have not covered. So if you don't cover the level 3s, they get 15 points. So if you add those 15 points to the 26 on the sea, that is already a huge chunk of points. And then throughout the game, they get points for other stuff as well. Like they'll take away cards and tiles and whatever. But that didn't bother me as much. But the problem is it made me... Oh, and another thing. The Hippodrome, if you don't reach the end, they will score the 5 points automatically as well.
Okay. But
No. If you don't end before the AI, they will score the 5 points. So you need to make sure on all 3 tracks you're in front of them. Otherwise, they'll score the 5 points. So basically, when it comes down to the Hippodrome and the ships, you have to be in front of them, or you're screwed.
This is to force you to be diversified?
Well, in a way, yes. It just forces you you have to do it, because I mean, you can ignore it, okay, but if you ignore the hippodrome, I mean, not even ignore the hippodrome. If they somehow get in front of you, it's 15 points as well.
Sure, it's a lot.
So basically,
Yeah,
they're
I see what you
scoring
mean.
maximums if you don't watch out. And honestly, I would still immediately play solo, and I would still enjoy the heck out of it because of the whole action selection system and trying to make everything work.
Yes.
But I don't really like the fact that I know you better do the ships, because if you don't do the
Yeah.
ships or don't do the things fast enough, it's going to screw you over, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
It,
yeah,
yeah, it kind of makes you feel like some good Euros will have, some good solos will have the a character that the AI will have a certain characteristic, meaning that every game it'll focus on one aspect of the game.
yeah, yeah,
Like this game will focus on sailing, another game will focus on building, this other game will focus on something else. So if you kind of know what he's focusing on, the same way you would know a human player is focusing on a certain strategy, but at least it would be randomized what strategy he's focusing on.
yeah, yeah.
Whereas here, it's like the strategy is always hippodrome and sailing. Is that what you're basically saying?
Yeah, because those are like automatics. They happen every
Yeah,
round.
that's what I'm saying. So whereas if it could be more randomized, to be because I can see what they're trying to do. They obviously want the AI to reach a certain point threshold.
Yeah.
So
They're
pushing it to go towards a certain point end goal.
I think I really enjoy playing the solo. I think I played it like 3-4 times before I gave it back to you. So even though
Yes.
I said what I said, the cons and negatives about it, I still think it's a really good solo, just because of the challenge and everything. And I mean, if you know, you know, but it also means automatically that you can game the system. You know, if you stay ahead on the ships, if you make sure you do the level 3s, then you're taking a lot of the gunpowder away from the AI. But it's definitely made me appreciate the whole. You need to make sure you maximize your engine and your efficiency and everything. That really had a big impact, to be honest. Yeah. And I agree with you. I think it's a really good game.
Yes.
Yeah. So how would you I don't know, would you rate it? Yeah.
Probably about an 8. Like I really like it, 7 to 8.
Yeah.
It's, as I said, it's not changing the world, but it hits the sweet spot, the Goldilocks spot, right?
Yeah.
That it's fun and it's doing what we want, and it's crunchy for those few minutes, that hour and a half or whatever you're playing it. It's quick to pick up. Like we could play it tomorrow. Like right now, without even go over the rules carefully. So, no, I really enjoy it. I'm glad I got it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm also glad you got it, but I'd be happier if I got it too.
Are you sitting at 8? Where are you sitting?
I think similar. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think a 9 would be pushing it, but a 7 would definitely be too low. So I think a 8 is pretty much a sweet spot.
I'm not giving it a 9 because it's not innovative. It's straightforward. Like, I'm sure I've seen that the cross section when you place your guy and you can do like even Barcelona does it, right? You place a spot, you do the actions that intersect.
And Forum Trianum as well.
Forum Trianum does it too. A lot of games do it. So there's nothing groundbreaking, but the sum of the parts is what makes the game great, I think.
Yeah.
So
it plays so smoothly as well, and then just the agonizing decisions that you do every time, every time, because that's why I think the multiplayer is better than the solo. Every game will play differently, where people are going for, suddenly there's a huge battle over the ships, suddenly there's a huge battle about this or the tiles are suddenly more important. I don't know. So because that's the difference with the solo. If people are like first on a track but they don't reach the end, they don't get the 5 points.
That's crazy.
It's like, I don't care if you are there. You don't have the bonus either, so I don't need to beat you there. So that's also different in how you handle that as well.
That's right.
Yeah. But yeah, it's cool. And like we said, it is similar to Barcelona, but Barcelona is also completely different and the same at the same time. But that's what we're going to be talking about next time. And I've actually just reached the solo pages, so let me just really, really quickly check it here.
Edit it in.
Yeah, well, It just says here. Oh yeah, just always automatic stuff that happens at the end of the turn. Yeah, yeah. Never mind. It says. Okay. Yeah.
You see, in some ways, I kind of admire that too because it's simple. You know what's going to happen. It's the solo kind of the AI kind of plays itself. It just chugs along.
Yeah, so basically the AI moves on the hippodrome.
Yes.
It moves. It discards the shipping contract. It discards the building contract, but then the building contract it discards. It actually builds. So it's also building buildings like that and so on. So
But
yeah,
the
so you can
upkeep is
manipulate
very
it a little
simple
bit.
for you. So I'm assuming the upkeep is very simple to do.
Mm-hmm.
The AI's actions are very simple for you to take care of, right?
Yeah, it's like boom, 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 and done. Yeah, for sure.
There's a kind of that's good, isn't it? Or do you prefer a more
No,
complicated?
I like it as well. But I think I like the simplicity for sure. But I've been playing Fractal a lot this week, and that has a much
Yes.
more involved solo mode.
Yes.
And after a couple of plays, I don't see how I can play the AI. Like here in this game, I think after a couple of plays, you could be like, okay, I know this is going to happen. And after one play, you know what's going to happen every round. So you know what you need to do to stop certain things. But like in other games, like Hegemony, for example, as well, you have no idea what they're going to do.
Yeah.
So, or you might have an inkling, but in Hegemony, you can still kind of game it. But yeah, Fractal, not so much. But I can talk about that in another podcast
Yes.
when we talk about what we've been playing.
After we play it, we'll play this weekend on Friday.
Yeah. So our next podcast will be about Barcelona. There's also somewhere a podcast about the top 20 worker placements that we've mentioned 15 times already that we're going to do at one point.
We can do them both. We can do both. We can film it both this week.
Yeah,
sometime.
For sure.
Okay.
All right, I guess we'll end it here then. And thank you everybody for listening. And by the way, you can listen to this podcast not only on YouTube, but it's also on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and a broad range of other stuff. Just type in So Many Games So Little Time or So Many Board Games So Little Time, because that's on Spotify, because So Many Games So Little Time already exists there. That's about Xbox games. Yeah. But I think the last podcast of that is like years ago, but it's still on there, if I'm not mistaken. So
okay.
Yeah, so there's So Many Board Games So Little Time. But it is what it is. So yeah, feel free to check it out over there as well. If it doesn't necessarily have to be doesn't necessarily have to be on YouTube. Okay, thank you. All right, Evangelos, thank you very much.
Anytime, buddy.
And everybody else, see you next time. Bye.
Cheers, man. Bye.